It looks like a sealed metal pouch with a cable hanging from one end, the kind of object most people would simply call a phone battery. At this stage, though, it is only a cell. The chemistry inside can release electricity, but it cannot manage the process on its own. It cannot decide when charging has gone too far, when the voltage has dropped too low, or when something in the current has moved outside a safe range. Before the cell can power an iPhone, it needs a small management board. That board also needs something few people would ever associate with a battery: software. So how does a bare lithium cell become a pack that a phone can recognize, monitor, and use? Let's get into it right here on Secrets of Simple Things. The cell is only the energy storing core. A battery cell stores chemical energy and releases it as electrical energy when the phone needs power. That is the job of the flat pouch at the center of the pack. The factory shown in the video can produce nearly 13 million cells every month. At that scale, speed is important, but consistency is what makes the process possible. Millions of cells have to be assembled quickly while still behaving closely enough to one another to be trusted inside devices people carry in their pockets all day. From the outside, each cell looks almost featureless, flat, soft-sided, and only a few millimeters thick. The inside is far less simple. Dozens of ultra-thin layers are arranged in a carefully controlled stack, then aligned and sealed within microscopic tolerances. A defect too small to see can reduce capacity, shorten useful life, or make the cell less stable over time. That is why cell production depends on specialized machinery and strict quality control long before any cable or circuit board is attached. Even a perfectly manufactured cell solves only one part of the problem. It provides a place to store energy. It does not control how that energy enters or leaves. That responsibility belongs to a second component: the board that sets the limits. That component is the BMS, short for Battery Management System. It sits between the cell and the phone, monitoring the electrical activity of the pack. The BMS helps prevent overcharging, keeps the cell from being discharged too deeply, and reacts when current rises beyond the range the pack is designed to handle. It is not running the phone. It is enforcing the operating limits of the battery. The boards already contain control chips when they arrive at the programming station, but those chips are still blank. Several BMS boards are placed in a row inside a machine with contact pins positioned above them. The pins press down, and the machine writes the correct program into each chip. The equipment looks almost crude compared with the delicacy of the cell, yet this is the step that gives the battery its rules. A few seconds earlier, the boards were only hardware. After programming, they can monitor conditions and respond when the pack moves outside its intended range. The pouch holds the energy. The smaller circuit decides when the flow must be limited or disconnected. That difference is easy to miss once the battery is finished because the BMS will soon be folded into a narrow strip at the top of the pack. Before that can happen, however, the electronics have to be connected and insulated without wasting a single millimeter of space. Why the circuit board has to be folded. The programmed BMS and its cable are attached to the cell's terminals. The main electrical pieces are now connected, but they are still too spread out to fit the final shape of a phone battery. The board has to sit tightly against the top edge of the cell. Folding it solves the space problem, while creating a new electrical risk. Exposed contacts are being brought very close to other conductive surfaces. If the wrong points touch, they can form an unintended path for current and create a short circuit. The next few movements are quick. A strip of insulating tape is placed along the edge. The board is folded down twice. Protective film is removed and another adhesive strip wraps over the folded section to keep it from springing open. Those small pieces of tape are doing two different jobs. One keeps conductive areas apart. The other locks the board into the exact position required by the finished pack. Nothing about the materials looks sophisticated. Their placement is what matters. Inside a battery only a few millimeters thick, the safe route for electricity may sit extremely close to a route it should never take. A fraction of space separates normal operation from an unwanted connection. The cell, cable, and BMS now form a complete-looking pack. Appearance, however, cannot reveal whether the electrical behavior is correct. Assembly is not proof. The finished pack is connected to a quality control machine. This stage checks three properties shown in the video: capacity, impedance, and the response to overcurrent. Capacity indicates how much the cell can hold. Impedance reflects how strongly the battery resists current moving through its internal components. The overcurrent test checks whether the protection system responds when electrical flow exceeds the permitted range. Each measurement looks for a different kind of failure. A neatly assembled pack may still hold less energy than expected. Abnormal internal resistance can point to another problem. The protection circuit must also react when the current moves beyond its limit. When the cycle ends, the machine gives a simple result: pass or fail. The battery built in the video passes this inspection. That result does not promise that the pack can never develop a fault. It confirms only that the battery is behaving within the limits measured during these tests. The first machine judges the pack. The next one asks the battery to report what it knows about itself. How the battery reports its condition. A second device connects to the pack and reads data from the BMS. The battery in the video reports a charge level of 54%. The display also shows temperature, design capacity, maximum capacity, and battery health. This reveals another role of the management board. Along with enforcing limits, it provides information about the current condition of the pack. Battery percentage looks like a simple fuel gauge, yet a phone cannot look inside the cell and see the remaining energy the way someone can see water inside a transparent bottle. It relies on electrical measurements and information supplied by the battery system. The phone interprets those readings and turns them into numbers the user can understand. Charge remaining, temperature, and how much capacity the battery can still hold compared with its original design. So the percentage in the corner of the screen is not a direct view into the chemistry. It is an estimate produced from measurements, calculations, and data moving between the battery and the phone. Most of the values on the diagnostic screen look ordinary. One does not. This new battery reports a health reading of 101%. How can battery health be above 100%? 101% sounds impossible because we usually treat 100% as a hard ceiling. Here, the number is a comparison rather than a physical limit. Every battery has a design capacity, the nominal amount it is expected to hold. Real cells are not manufactured with perfectly identical capacity, so a new one may measure slightly above or below that target. If a diagnostic system compares maximum capacity with design capacity, a measured value just above the nominal figure can produce a result over 100%. That offers a straightforward explanation for the 101% shown in the factory. The number still needs context. It comes from the diagnostic tool used in the video, not from the battery health screen in iOS. It also does not prove that every new iPhone battery will show the same figure, or that this particular cell is somehow superior. Values stored or calibrated in the BMS can affect how a diagnostic device interprets the pack. As the battery ages, its maximum capacity usually declines and the reported health value changes with it. The reading is useful because it compares the battery's present condition with a reference point. It is not an extra reserve of energy hiding beyond 100%. The last steps happen inside the phone. Before installation, adhesive strips are applied to the back of the pack. Their job is simple: keep the battery fixed inside the phone. Putting them on is much easier than removing them during a repair. The strips need to hold the pack securely through normal use, while still allowing controlled removal when replacement becomes necessary. When they release as intended, the battery can be lifted out cleanly. When they tear, an otherwise straightforward repair becomes far more awkward. With the adhesive in place, the finished pack is installed in the iPhone. This is the most practical test in the entire process. The cell, cable, connector, programmed BMS, insulation, and adhesive no longer exist as separate pieces on a workbench. They now have to function together inside the device they were built for. The phone must receive power through the completed assembly, while the management board continues to provide the information and protection expected from the pack. Only at this point has the bare cell become the object most people casually call a battery. A battery is a system, not a pouch. The thin metal pouch is only the energy-storing core. A finished phone battery also depends on a programmed management board, insulation, diagnostic data, mechanical assembly, and testing. Together, those elements control how energy moves and how the phone understands what is happening inside. So the next time your screen reports 1% remaining, remember that the number comes from far more than chemistry. It is the visible result of an entire system hidden inside one of the most ordinary parts of your phone. So the next time your battery drops to 1%, remember how much engineering is working behind that tiny number. If you enjoy discovering the hidden systems inside ordinary objects, subscribe to Secrets of Simple Things. There are plenty more everyday things around you that are far more interesting than they first appear.